And if you watch Kachiri's stream, you should see something fairly interesting as the runners are off. Kachiri is running with a Mega Man sprite for Super Metroid, which will be fun to watch.
I've got to admit, that Mega Man sprite looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched Kachiri play with the Mega Man sprite a week or so ago, and yeah, there's like, I won't spoil it, but like, things will get pretty interesting later. So just missiles on the Lake Hylia Island. I doubt our runners will be back for that. And again, just missiles at Link's house.
So they seem to be making their play up towards the uncle and getting the two secret garden entrance checks out there.
Yep, let's see what the tree pull is, and just hearts. Reckness getting bomb drops, which is always useful to find early. And one of the tiers is actually bomb drops from the tree pull, so that's useful. And lamp right off the bat. We will have no dark rooms today.
We also have one of the best Super Metroid items, the Spring Ball.
Yeah, spring ball is definitely very handy. It's normal logic, so there's not all of the tricks will be required as we find the small key in the sanctuary. So they'll be able to access the backup escape from both sides. Interesting that Azur's going right for the dark cross. That's
He
not
must
a
be thinking the lamp is hinting at him to go to somewhere dark.
Yeah, I mean, it's a play that I don't think I've ever seen before, so we'll see if that pays off for Azur.
The bush crab also giving us an 8 bomb drop.
I mean, that is probably the best drop I've ever seen from that.
And as they're unfortunately just finding normal pack of missiles and Dark Cross.
Yeah, but that was an ice rod, it looks like, at the lumberjack. So that is really interesting, and we'll have to see if Turtle Rock winds up being required.
So there's a high probability we're now looking at what is an Agaseed.
Yeah. And even when Turtle Rock is a pendant, like, there is still that possibility that you wind up with a required item on Laser Bridge or something, and so yeah, Ice Rod probably not the item that our runners wanted to see on the lumberjack.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword though, because Ice Rod's not one of these items you want to be hunting around the entire game looking for.
I mean, that is true. At least the runners know where it is. But oftentimes I kind of use like finding Ice Rod as my kind of hint that something is probably in Turtle Rock.
We're also concerned for them because we've just seen 2 of the 3 pendants in the Light World. One on Tower of Hera, which is their green, and the other one on Desert Palace.
Grapple Beam in Blind's Hut, along with one of the medallions. Ether. So Grapple Beam unlocks a lot of locations in Super Metroid once they find Morph Ball. It allows them access to Wrecked Ship, it allows them access to X-Ray, and it allows them access eventually to Shack Tool. So a couple out-of-the-way locations in Super Metroid that our runners probably don't want to have to check, and In recent seeds, Shack Tool has hidden the mirror twice in recent memory. And a mushroom in the well. So our runners have a fetch quest.
It's not even the convenient fetch quest like the shovel, where you can just like sort of mark it off as you're coming out the bottom of South Kakariko.
Yeah. I mean, if our runners find the flute soon, then it becomes a lot more convenient. But if it's a late flute, then our runners will have to decide if they want to like spend the time to go out of the way for it. Also, yeah, I don't know if you, I don't remember if you mentioned this, but it's a 5/6 crystal on Eastern and speed booster in the back of the tavern. So that actually gives access to a couple of locations in Green Brinstar and Pink Brinstar. So we'll see if any of our runners decide to follow that there. They're kind of annoying checks to go for, just because without Morph, like, there's only a few locations that are available, but they are in logic, so technically your progression could be there. Let's see. Power bombs at the race game. Haragnus was about to save and quit that, but decided better of it, because that could very well be the only accessible power bomb pack for now.
We have seen a pack of power bombs on the library as well, but unfortunately we need to wait until we find boots to get those.
Yeah, so it's like, so I mean, even still, that could be the only accessible one for quite a while. And you want to make sure you have power bombs for the early game in SM, because so much is gated by that. Power bomb management is extremely important in these randomizers, especially because like you're not very likely to find the morph ball bombs very early in these.
Yeah, you would like to go in with at least 10 power bombs if you could, because you still have to do some form of farming when you have 10, but 15 is like a really comfortable cushion, and 5 is, oh, it's a slow grind.
Yeah. 15 is kind of like the number that most runners want to aim for, because that, if you don't find Ice Beam, 15 will allow you to get through the Metroid rooms without having to refill at all. And 15 also gives you enough to be able to Crystal Flash. So Heractus is making the play over to Agina's cave. It's one of those out of the way Sphere Zero locations, but it can have things.
Gets the nice information of the Moon Pearl being on Desert Ledge.
Yeah, that's an interesting place for it. So presumably we'll be finding Flute or Boots soon. Although, yeah, even with Flute, you'd need Flute plus both glove upgrades to get there. And just blueberries at Agina's cave. And I missed most of what was on Mini Moldorm cave, but I'll get another look at it right here. Evidently, there was a glove upgrade in there, because I see it marked off for Asder. Kuchiri having used all of his bombs on the mini Moldorms, they were not being nice to him. So mail upgrade, gloves, Yeah, rupees and a heart piece. But that glove is really important to have. Astor's stream was lagging, so I did not catch what was at the Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, Ice Rod Cave is one of these checks you don't really want to miss out on because it's so far out the way. But it is, as you said, it is a Sphere Zero check. It is available right from the get.
Yeah. Azure doing a fake flipper is gonna be relatively interesting that he's taking that portal without checking Hobo first. Unless, because I think these two checks here require Moon Pearl. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know the
require the
specifics.
Moon Pearl, yes.
Yeah.
For some reason, the game only checks to see if you have flippers when you're leaving the cave or some weird thing. But for some reason, the Moon Pearl just bypasses that.
Yeah. I missed what was on the Zora ledge.
Kachiri making it out of Logic Play up towards Death Mountain and getting a full heart container from the old man.
Yeah, the old man's a really good check to get out of the way. Just because it gives you that extra save point on the mountain, which is often the most efficient one to use. Everyone's running low on bombs as we find a bottle on Spectacle Rock and Super's inside Spectacle Rock.
Our King Zora only had 5 rupees for us, and we eventually found out that what was in Ice Crowd was only a piece of heart.
Yep, so our runners will be getting their life lesson from Zora today.
So Kachiri's kindly showing us our Dark World map. So Turtle Rock is required, so this is definitely an Aghanim.
Yep.
Our 6 crystal for our 5/6 combo is Ice Palace, which is not a fun dungeon to go through. And our other pendant was Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Palace is a really nice dungeon to go mode, and it's a horrible dungeon to have to full clear.
As they're getting a sword from the mushroom trade, I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be really nice, because, yeah, having to do dungeons swordless is definitely annoying. And, yeah, I mean, 2 of our runners have 0 bombs right now. This seed has been just really kind of unfriendly in that regard. I mean, luckily our runners, all of them at this point, should know that the bush crabs give an 8 bomb drop, but yeah, even so, those tend to be a little out of the way.
There is thankfully that shop just on Lake Hylia that sells 10 bombs for you. Quite convenient before you go to Shahashla.
Yeah, luckily our runners have enough rupees that they can spare the rupees for those to buy those bombs. Yeah, nothing really in the back of Sahasrara. Nidarific getting his life lesson as Kachiri enters Eastern Palace.
Now it looks like we've also got to play into the front part of Escape from Hector. Meanwhile, Nidarific checking the back of Escape.
Yeah, so getting a lot of different checks at the same time here. Actually, checking the back of Escape might even kind of be like the cosmic brain check here, as we find Cane of Burna in the back of Escape, because you can basically kind of go from front to back of Escape with the fact that you got the key from the Sanctuary chest, and then just go right from essentially the back of Escape backwards to the front of Escape. Really nice use of the Cane of Burna to kill that rat there. It's not necessarily a play that you see every day, just using Cane of Burna as your primary damage source. Although Nitorific is kind of low on magic. Arachnus getting trolled by those guards a bit. You can avoid the guards by in that previous room if you basically walk a little bit behind that first pillar. Arachnus still not without a weapon, or still without a weapon besides bombs, so that's always kind of annoying in this Hyrule Castle area, because once you aggro those blue guards, they move around a lot, and it can be hard to hit them.
He's still making really quick work of them, though. Kuchiri, by the looks of it, not finding anything of importance inside Eastern Palace, so perhaps where could our progression lie? Is it actually in Super Metroid?
You're doing the damage boost through the anti-fairies, but then his health winds up being a bit low, so he manages to hit the switch, but then immediately takes a death, which is really unfortunate.
Oh, looks like there's a book in that chest too, so he might not want to leave it behind.
Yeah, but Kachiri now moving to the castle, so that's gonna be unfortunate.
The sword was on Mushroom. Just answering a question in chat. So it's likely Aster's going to make it towards Desert Palace, so hopefully we can find out if its boots locked or not. And he should also be able to get access to his moon pearl at this point.
As they're about to be disappointed by Agina's cave. As Arachnus is heading up to Death Mountain. Won't really find anything useful here, but will unlock the Death Mountain save, or respawn point, which is very useful.
It's definitely not a bad play, considering they do have gloves and they do have lamp, and lamp is very rarely given as quick as it was this.
Yeah. And in fact, like, it's a play a lot. Like, I'll even just make without the lamp, because those dark rooms aren't terribly hard, and it's just, yeah, just having that part of the map unlocked this early is useful. Arachnis heading into Norfair to check the one item you can get here, which is just missiles. You can also check the Croc item, or the Croc escape item, choosing not to do so, though. So we'll have to wait for another runner to go there to find out what Croc escape is hiding today.
So it also looks like our map is on the Torch and Desert, so it's not booked locked.
Cheery making his way to Dark Cross. Azure going to be checking the vanilla big key chest, which has one of the items from for this dungeon. The other one, unless I missed the other item, it will be on Lenmola's. And without boots, Desert Palace is a slog to get from one side to the other. It's interesting too because it's a Desert Palace is the dungeon in the vanilla game that you do when you first get the boots, so it's kind of designed to make you want to use the boots to get through, to cross it. So
Yeah, these big straight long hallways, you just charge the whole way down and charge the whole way back. It's so great.
yeah, but Azure, the first of our runners to pick up his Moon Pearl. Neorific heading towards the Eastern Palace big key chest. And Kachiri gonna get the bad news from Magina's cave. Yeah, and if I remember right, he is missing the book, so Neaterific going for one of the 50-50 bomb drops outside Link's house there. The middle right of those stones there has a 50-50 chance of having a bomb underneath it, so it's a very useful thing to just reflexively go for once you have gloves, just to keep yourself stocked up on bombs. Azure, in his Lenmola's fight, using bomb strats, because he doesn't really have that great of weaponry for this boss.
This boss is certainly a challenge using bombs, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, because other than that, he has just Fighter Sword as the only other way to damage it, and that's really, really slow. So, Azure I think has 2 of the Lenmolas down, and gets the 3rd one down. And Azure has his red pendant. So now really our runners are going to be basically looking for a hammer or a second glove upgrade to get some semblance of Dark World access. So we'll see at what point, if at all, any of our runners decide to reset to Super Metroid to see if either of those happens to be there.
The irony we were talking about is Landmoles actually having the boots.
Oh wow, yeah, that And that opens up Mirror. So that's a really good find for Astor. And he's able to check that on his way to going up to Death Mountain. And having the mirror will give him access to Tower of Hera.
Hera also being our green pendant, chances are Shahashla may have something for us.
Arachnus getting his book. Kachiri getting his sword. And I'm going to be heading over to Zora. Astor now in Super Metroid. So let's see if Astor checks the Croc Escape. I expect that he will. Well, Astor hasn't found an energy tank yet. Interesting. Okay, just Super's at the Croc Escape, so nothing super important there.
I believe the energy tank that people have found was on Hobo when they used the fake flipper trick.
Oh yeah, and Astor did the fake flipper, but skipped the hobo check. So yeah. Now, I mean, there's gonna be plenty of other energy tanks, so he didn't really miss out that much. But although if it winds up being the only energy tank for a very long while, that might hurt Astor a bit. Because while Astor is a phenomenal Super Metroid runner and can definitely do the game on very little energy, just like if you're trying to go through and do the Brinstar checks on very low energy, it's going to really slow you down because you have to be a lot more careful when doing a lot of those checks. And Kachiri is the first to make the play into Super Metroid. Unfortunately, he having missed his book, this may be leading him astray, since we know that Tower of Hera is accessible. So Kachiri trying to set up a short charge to get through those pillars. Now, this is in logic, but not quite the way that Kachiri is doing it, although I think that the short charge that Kachiri is doing is easier than the way the logic intends you to get through those speed blocks.
Yeah, I believe the logic expects you to do it from outside your ship and sort of run into Criteria and jump across that way.
Yeah, that is the way the logic expects you to do it. But Kachiri having some trouble getting that short charge, just not quite lining up the taps. He did get it once, but unfortunately he's falling off the ledge, and that's making it much more difficult for him to get the spark.
So for those wondering, Kuchiria is using the latest dev build, which is sort of testing out custom sprites on Super Metroid. I am curious though as to how does it affect like starter charging? Is it like the exact same animation as Samus does when she? So are we looking for the exact same frame for when we do starter charges?
Yeah, I mean, I would presume that nothing in this sprite hack is changing the actual timing of the short charge. It might be that the animation makes it a bit more difficult. As while I was paying attention to Kachiri trying to get that short charge, I completely missed Astor finishing Tower of Hera.
Yeah, same. I'm mesmerized by this Mega Man sprite. It's so good. I completely wasn't paying attention to Tower of Hera.
Yeah,
It looks
but
like we get to see the basement.
yeah, so clearly there was an item in the basement, which is something that you generally don't like to see as a runner because this is just a huge time sink to check, specifically because of this tile room. As they're just running around to dodge the tiles, I like to try to use a bomb to flip the switch and then try to get on top of those blocks, because then you can just sit there as the tiles hit you but don't do any damage, because you basically have invincibility while you're stuck on top of those blocks. I missed what was on the Brinstar Reserve, but the other item that's here is just another red rupee. So I think thus far that's 2 red rupees here. So Kuchiri has just one more or 2 more locations he can check in Red Brinstar. Kuchiri successfully avoiding paying a visit to the Decora, which would be a fairly scary thing to have happen when you don't have any E-tanks. You can get out of there, but it is very tricky. Bomb capacity upgrade. And E-tank, so Kuchiri is just going to reset that. As we're checking Sick Kid, which is just more supers. So I don't think I've seen Azur turn in the green pendant yet, unless I missed it.
I don't think he has, no. Or maybe
Neaterific. Yeah, Neaterific's finally going to get his sword. Arachnus is in the Lenmola's fight. And also having to do it with sword spins. So Kuchiri is going to check the Morph Ball location. And possibly also the Brinstar Ceiling E-Tank. As they're finally checking front of escape.
Oh, it's a vanilla Morph Ball.
Kuchiri shooting some supers there in frustration, and yeah, that is the Morph Ball animation for Samus. Or for Mega Man, rather. That is very, yeah. Yeah, that is a really cool Morph Ball animation.
The Morph Ball, of course, leading to the single arrow.
Yeah, but now, like, SM is opened pretty wide with that and having Speed Booster. Like, pretty much everything in Brinstar is accessible now, although Kuchiri has no E-tanks, so some of these checks might be a bit dangerous. Supers in the ceiling, and so we now have a Master Sword available.
So that will make Araga now doable for once our runners pick up their second.
Yeah. So it's interesting, like, this is one of those few seeds where, like, doing the initial play into Blue Bryn may have been worth it. None of the runners on Restream went for it, but
It's one of these things, though. It's just one check out of all the available checks inside Link to the Past, so you don't. The odds of it containing something are very slim.
Yeah. I mean, it's a play that when I'm in a race situation with this, I know that my execution, especially in Link to the Past, is not that of like a lot of the other runners. So I kind of go for that play just on the off chance that it does pay off. So it's interesting that it's like this is the one time that that play would have hugely paid off. Kachiri going at least to check the power bomb item over here. We'll see if he does not decide to do full meme route, which is probably a wise decision given his lack of energy.
Yeah, those side hoppers in that next room would tear him apart.
Arachnus getting the mirror, Neorific about to get their morph ball, and we'll judge our runner's reaction to the vanilla morph ball.
The question that has now added onto my mind is how long is it going to take Kachiri to go back to Eastern to get their book? Or are they hoping they're going to find the flute plus the second glove upgrade before getting their Moon Pearl?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's really out of the question that could happen, but yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing about Kachiri finding Morphal is this is going to take him further and further away from Eastern Palace. It was just, really unfortunate that Kachiri took that death there. Kachiri doing a left side climb.
Now, I did not see Azure check the tablet up on Ether, which looks like there's an armor upgrade on there for Link to the Past anyway.
Yeah, I mean, now with Master Sword, they would be able to actually collect it, so we might see him go there when he's actually able to pick it up, rather than just checking it beforehand. So Kachiri choosing to head back into Link to the Past. And Arachnus getting a bit trolled by the bumpers there in Tower of Hera.
So Kachiri is looking to hand their Mushroom in, which will give them their Master Sword. So Kachiri might now dive up Aga Tower, which again takes them even further away from Eastern.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a play he's going to have to make eventually anyways. But the problem with that is he also, because of that whole chain of events, doesn't have his Moon Pearl. So even that, and I think he has checked, he knows where the Moon Pearl is, so... Yeah, Aga is probably... Yeah, I don't know if Aga's the play that he wants to make right now. Although he does seem to be heading in that direction.
I did not notice it was the shovel in the big chest of Tower of Hera. So I wonder when they're going to hand in that fetch quest.
Yeah, probably. I imagine they'll probably do that when they have to do some other Dark World checks. Neaterific is going to check what's at Climb Supers. And it's Bombos Medallion, so that may or may not be required. We don't have any information on the medallion requirements yet.
Definitely have to be careful getting out of there, though, because those spikes on the floor really do hurt.
Yeah, but Neaterific having Grapple Beam just can make quick work of it. Yeah, grapple beam is one of those items that I've just like learned to appreciate more and more the more that I play this game. And the dental plan missiles is just a heart container. And Kachiri is making the Aga play. I mean, I suppose the one thing is this does give him time to think about like the other locations that he could possibly go to, and maybe he will remember that he hasn't picked up that one chest in Eastern. So Haragnis now basically taking his coffee break in the tile room. Just by being on top of those tiles, he basically does not get damaged by the tiles. Neaterific checking the criteria power bombs. This is a slightly dangerous check with only one energy tank, but it's not unreasonably slow. But you saw just how quickly he lost health from taking a dip in the acid.
And those spikes as well on the roof, if you just accidentally bump them trying to get out of the acid quickly, it's like you're pretty much dead at that point.
Yeah. I think suitless, those spikes do 60 damage. So yeah, they would have almost killed him and probably knocked him back into the acid, which would have killed him. Neaterific now doing some really nice delayed wall jumps to get up to the gauntlet area.
So our shovel led to just a piece of heart.
So Kachiri now in the Aga fight uses a bomb at the start. We'll see how many blue balls Kachiri gets. So far, 0. Arachnus getting their power bombs from the library. Neaterific picking up the 5 bomb capacity.
10.
And that was a really quick Aga 1 fight. I actually don't know if I saw any blue balls from there. Wow, that's the second time like in a while that I've seen a 0 blue ball Aghanim fight.
Kachiri finding out there's just red rupees on the pyramid lid.
Yeah, and that's about the extent of what he can do in the dark world without that moon pearl.
So I don't think Kachiri checked most of Super Metroid after getting the Morph Ball. I believe he went straight back into Link to the Past, so he's probably thinking to go back through and check all of Green Run Star and Pink Run.
Neaterific remembering to check the Terminator item and finding just a 20 rupee there. Also shooting the door open to Turian, which can save you a little bit of time at the very end. Because then if you have if you can just open the door with a wave beam shot as you're shooting the pirates at the very end of the game. assuming, of course, that you find Wave Beam. So Kachiri's just going to check what is at the back of Gauntlet. Luckily, although he doesn't know it, the front of Gauntlet is junk, so yeah, he's going to find out he's not missing out on much. And it's the Hammer at the back of Brinstar Reserve. So there's our Dark World access, other than just Aghanim. So Nidourific is the first runner that we know of with Dark World access. Unfortunately, it appears that Astor Stream's having some technical difficulties, so we don't know quite where Astor is.
Kachiri is close behind Nidourific's heels, about to pick up their hammer.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, the more of these items that Kachiri is finding, the further away it's going to take him from his Moon Pearl, which he really needs for his Dark World access.
Reckonus did a really nice deboost to get the super missiles on the ceiling.
Yeah. That's like one of the... Yeah, that's like, for people who are familiar with like the just Super Metroid randomizers, that's like one of the first tricks that you have to learn for those, because in plain Super Metroid randomizers, your morph ball is generally either at the morph ball location or it's in that ceiling E-Tank location where the logic expects you to do that D-boost. Not in this logic, though. In this logic, that D-boost is not expected. Heracnus is doing meme route. Kachiri taking some damage in the pre-Etikun spike room. Heracnus finally finds their second E-Tank. Probably glad to find that with how their health was.
It's a nice free refill for you. But I mean, he had the ammo capacity to deal with the side hopper, so it wouldn't be too much concern. And there's another one just for good measure.
Kachiri getting the wall jumps up to the Etikun's power bombs item. Yeah, Kachiri is relatively new to Super Metroid, so yeah, definitely been really cool to see him improve at wall jumps and a lot of this and learning a lot of this tech. Again, Kachiri dodging the Decora pit. So I missed what was at Waterway on Heracnus' side, but we'll see it soon on Nidourific's side.
It was just
I guess both of them.
Arrow capacity upgrade.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Nidourific, I think, just farming some power bombs, because those green beetles, I think, are almost 100% guaranteed to drop. If not, it's extremely high.
Yeah, I mean, most of these enemies, it's the chance is like 98% or something. Sometimes you can just get really unlucky, but yeah, most of the time you will get power bombs from them. Kachiri using intended strats with the grapple beam there. And now is going to have to be a little careful in the side hopper room. Those side hoppers deal a very large amount of damage, as do the spikes. Brackness going for the wave gate glitch by shooting a super missile in a very specific location. You can get it to accelerate through the gate and hit the switch on the other side of it. And gets 300 rupees for his trouble, which, yeah, I mean, it's probably not what I was looking for, but I mean, rupees, like 300 rupee drops, I won't complain about. Neaterific following in Haraknus's heels. Cheery going for the Spore Spawn skip. So there's a bunch of different setups. I think he basically had it with that. He's basically going for the setup that I generally go for the Spore Spawn skip. There's a few different places you can line yourself up. You just want to basically get that super block basically within 2 pixels off screen so that the super missile does not despawn before it hits it.
Yeah, I think there's I think there's 4 maybe possible setups for that skip.
Yeah,
I personally use the one on the far right, which is like really close to the wall.
Yeah, there's a bunch of setups. I just know that. And Neaterific going to make his way to Red Tower and gonna go down. And gonna be doing the X-ray check. With 4 E-Tanks, this should be a relatively safe check, and especially having grapple.
It's also one of these locations you don't really want to leave because it's so far out the way, so you may as well get it as you pass.
Yeah. But it can also be one of those dangerous checks where, like, if you do happen to hit the spikes and get trapped down there, you will take a lot of damage. And especially without Varia suit, like, those spikes do a significant amount of damage. But, yeah, Neaterific grappling his way back. Kachiri getting the Shine Spark to Waterway and being disappointed with what he finds there.
So it was just missiles on the X-ray check for Neaterific, so choosing not to pick that up. You already got 70 with 25 supers, so his ammo kit's pretty strong.
Neaterific gonna check the Spazer location. This is kind of one of those annoying checks when you don't have normal bombs, just because you have to wait for the block to respawn. And just regular missiles, which Neaterific decides to pick up, which isn't a bad decision because there's no fanfare time in this, so there's not really a big time punishment for picking up items. So with Fractus having gone the meme route of going from Retrobrin through Pink Bryn up this way, I imagine Arachnus will either go back to Link to the Past as soon as he finishes this loop, or just decide to go right on to Wrecked Ship, because he does have access to it, and I'd say plenty of energy for getting through killing Fantoon. Just a piece of heart at the Kraid missiles. So we're gonna see our first Kraid fight. So we'll see if Neaterific can avoid taking Kraid to prom. Kachiri unfortunately getting grabbed by one of the yapping maws. Now his health is a bit in a dangerous spot. He can take 2 spike hits. Yeah. So it's called meme route because it's in normal in like a non-combo randomizer. It's just normally you would just go up the climb and but yeah, it's just not the typical route, and it's one of those things that is generally considered a bit of a risk, but it can work out hugely.
It
So
definitely can be pretty dangerous with little energy as well, because the initial start, those side hoppers just do so much damage at the start.
yeah, I believe the big one does 120 damage. So if you don't have any energy tank, that's literally a one shot. Yeah, Nidorific getting a bit trolled by those key hunters. If you jump through the door leading like into that room from Creed, then you manipulate the key hunter position so they don't harass you, but because the key hunters kind of react to your movement through the room. But even so, like if you mess up your movement, then you will get trolled by the key hunters. Hackness, unfortunately, getting caught underneath those. I think they're called booyans. Those yellow goo enemies. So
Choosing the
Hackness is,
safer option to bail from that because of the energy concern.
yeah. But I mean, Heractus at least knows where that Bombos medallion is, so if Bombos turns out to be required, they know exactly where to go for it.
It's not an extremely out of the way check either.
Kachiri needs to get out of the water and avoid getting tagged by... Yeah, he's getting really trolled by that yapping maw. Eventually makes it through the room. And Asder's stream is back, so just in time for his great fight. So Asder is a skilled enough runner that I expect a Kraid quick kill from him. And so we are, I believe, 1 for 2 on Kraid quick kills.
To me, personally, still one of the hardest tricks on Super Metroid to do.
Yeah, it just takes a bit of practicing. And Nidorific just going through one heated room just to check what the bubble mounted missiles are. I do not believe that location is in logic in this, but it's still a very easy check to do. Like, that room barely qualifies as a hell run. Nidorific now going to do an actual hell run to check the ice beam location.
Finding space jump for doing the hill run, so that'll be really handy for moving around. It also tends to be a location that runners don't tend to check very often.
Yeah, but like as we saw, like it's one of those other locations where like really useful items can hide. You want to be really careful with the enemies in that room. They do a deceptive amount of damage. Luckily, just a red rupee at that location, but Deuterific needs to be very careful heading out of here. He luckily manages to kill the mini Duskigas, but they deal a very large amount of damage. But Deuterific should be fine now.
So as they're checking out Hype Cave for us, finding
Yeah,
Spacer in a bottle.
and
As there also
Heracnus
looks
is
to
going
have...
to.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say Heracnus is making the wrecked ship play.
I was trying to say that Asdar looks to be in red mail, so possibly climbed back up to the Aether Tablet to see what that check was when they had their Master Sword.
Deuterific getting the news that this is an Agar required seed.
And as they're finding our third bottle inside K45.
And there is our Titan's Mitt, so
That early
now
grapple was a good indicator.
Yeah, so what'll be interesting to see is if we also find Flute here, because if Flute turns out to be in wrecked ship, then that might bail Kuchiri out on missing the book.
Also just noticed, Hype Cave actually had 2 bottles in it, so we know where all 4 bottles are already.
Arachnus starting his Fantoon fight. And getting a fast right off the bat. So Fantoon giving pretty good RNG thus far. Getting at least 4 missiles on that first Doppler. Looks like a mid. Unfortunately, misses the eye open on that mid.
Aster appears to be lifting up the Dark Rock, so they must have already done Wreck Ship to get their Titans.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately, Heracnus enraging Fantoon, and that's really hard to deal with when you don't have Charge Beam or Screw Attack. He's trying to shoot as many of the flames as he can out of the way. So luckily he's able to kind of farm up a little bit from them. But yeah, still able to take Fantoon down, but like enraging Fantoon there without having a good way of dealing with it, it can be really scary. And Azur looks like he's making the play into Skull Woods. I don't know if he has if he found Fire Rod somewhere in his travels. I guess I'll have to see next time he pulls up his inventory screen. Looks like not, because he's backtracking out of there to the front of Skullwoods. Cheer is just getting grabbed by all of the yapping maws, unfortunately. I miss was that right side supers.
It was just a piece of heart.
Yeah. Just rupees at left side supers.
As they're unfortunately lagging just as he checks these one-off locations like Bumper Cave. So we don't get to see what's on them.
Kachiri looks like to be the next of our runners to make the wrecked ship play. Or maybe backing out of it. Gonna check the red tower items first. Just wanted to see what was on the moat. But Kachiri, you do not want to hit those sizers there. They deal 120 damage with no suits. Arachnus making the play towards the wreck ship E-Tank makes very quick work of Spikirim with death, not taking a single hit. That room is really dangerous when you don't have any suits.
Neaterific decided to check pedestal force, but it looks like it's dead. Kichiri probably enjoying that free refill after taking so much damage to the side hop.
Yeah. Having a bit of a dangerous trip out of there, but doesn't take a huge amount of damage for it. He also needs to be careful of these enemies here. They also deal a deceptive amount of damage, so he's being really careful in killing them to get some power bumps back. Gets knocked into one of the Vile Plumes there. And I mean, the E-Tank was probably worth it, but yeah, none of the items down here were. And unfortunately, like, so this room is really nice if you can damage boost off of those enemies. I believe they're called bouillons, and but if you don't know how to do those damage boosts or you miss those damage boosts, then that room just becomes hell. Arachnus having very little health to get through the attic, but has 150 health. Probably wants a little bit more to make it through bowling. He's going to go ahead and check what the wreck ship reserve item is, but he does have speed, so he'll be able to pick it up regardless. Just power bomb, so he's probably going to skip out on those. He already has 15. Having speed booster, he can very easily check the sky missiles item. Unfortunately, bonks the platform. So Kachiri does not want to check wrecked ship yet. And that's a charge beam. So that is a really nice find for Arachnus. That basically makes it so that he has no possibility of soft locking at Ridley or Batoon. And basically means that he should be comfortable with his ammo situation for the rest of the game.
And Neaterific
Although
finding their carrot sword in the C-shaped hut of Thieves Town.
I've never heard it called the carrot sword before, but it's definitely a very fitting name for it.
I've heard it called carrot, I've heard it called bacon, I've heard it called a lot of things.
So, yeah, we're about an hour into this seed. So thus far we know where the Titan's mitts are, and we know we know that we need to go to Aga to get Ice Rod. But yeah, we're still missing a bunch of things. Well, there's Variasuit on Neaterific's screen in Thieves Town, so that opens up a whole lot more of Super Metroid. It opens up Norfair. If they can get to the Mire area, that opens up Lower Norfair. Neaterific, unfortunately, taking a bit of a beating from some of these enemies in Thieves Town. Kachiri is fighting Creed, so unfortunately taking Creed to prom, so we are 1 for 2 on Creed quick kills. So Neorific just checking the first 4 chests in Thieves Town and then leaving, which is a reasonable play given that Thieves Town is a pendant. But even pendant Thieves Town can hide some pretty important items. But I think Neorific's just gonna take his Variasuit. We're just gonna take his hammer to check East Death Mountain, which I don't think we've seen yet.
Unfortunately, without hookshot, it is a pretty big walk.
Yeah.
Although the looks of it, Neorific hasn't actually been up here yet because the bottle is still sitting on Spectacle.
Yeah. And they haven't completed Tower of Hera either. They don't have their mirror.
I don't think Neorific has dived Desert Palace either. They do have their book.
So yeah, I believe Fracnus does have the Titan's mitts because they just came from wrecked ship. Yeah, so Arachnus, when they get to Death Mountain, will be able to do even more checks there because they have, because they'll have access to basically all of East Death Mountain, including Dark East Death Mountain. Arachnus not able to get the damage boost. Getting double chomped by that Vileplume. Vileplumes are not being kind today. Did Nidoריfic check what was at the cathedral missiles?
It's just power bombs.
Okay, yeah, so nothing important.
I just saw from Asder screen that Neorific's about to pick up their X-ray scope.
Yeah, so then we're just a plasma beam away from the potential for a microwave kill on Botun and Dragon.
I find it interesting Neorific going up to Death Mountain just to check Spike Cave, to then come back to Super Metroid.
Yeah. Okay, Kachiri making the wrecked ship play, unfortunately falls into the Mo trying to grapple across. It should be good if he can. Yeah, unfortunately, those crumble blocks on the or those grapple blocks on the right side crumble after a short amount of time. So, you can take your time a little bit, but you do have to kind of be quick about getting that swing across.
And that was Gravity Suit sitting outside Wave Beam. So we now know where both our suits are.
Yeah, and that's basically access to literally everything in Super Metroid. Super Metroid is completely open to our runners once they find those suits. Ideally, our runners would find high jump boots because that would, and probably like one or two more beams, but otherwise, like Super Metroid's open to and beatable. Kachiri makes it over the moat. Now has to make it over the ocean, which can be just as annoying to cross. But luckily, Kachiri has a grapple, which does make it significantly easier. Yeah, Arachnus turning off Speed Booster to get up to Kraid's Lair. Unfortunately, one of the things about Speed Booster without high jump boots is it stunts your jump height. So you wind up basically, if you're holding run at all when you jump, your jump height winds up being a little bit lower unless you are at full speed. So yeah, it can make certain jumps a lot harder to do. And Asder just making the play right into Meridia. So Arachnus being the last of our runners to fight Kraid, while Kachiri enters his Fantoon fight. Terrific trying to glitch the gate to Crocomire. Gets after a few tries.
As they're finding morph ball bombs inside Meridia.
Yeah, so that's definitely useful. Gives him a few more movement options, but at this point, not really super necessary. It'll also allow him to detach the Metroids in Torian, although we haven't found Ice Beam yet, so our runners may wind up using Power Bomb strats if they don't find that Ice Beam. So we have Nitorific fighting Crocomire, so we'll get to see some new checks there as well. Half Magic in the Aqueduct.
To answer a question in chat, the mirror was in Pegasus Rocks. And for anyone curious as to why Kochiri is Mega Man, he is playing the latest dev build, which is introducing a custom sprite into Super Metroid. So hopefully it goes down very well.
So Kachiri's health is kind of getting a bit low here, especially because Kachiri currently has no suits. But I mean, Fantoon's pretty close to dead. I saw Kachiri shoot a super. Yeah, Kachiri's health is out of. Kachiri, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, taking a death. His health was at a very dangerous place. 30 health is not where you want your health to be against Fantoon because you're outside of health bomb range, but you are still in one hit range. So you're not getting guaranteed health drops, but you are getting but you are in one-shot range. So we have the red meringue at the cosine missiles. As they're taking care of Batoon. Was that a King Samaria or something else? Like I only got like a couple of frames look at what that item at Batoon was, but evidently it wasn't because Astor didn't think it was important.
Naderific finding the screw attack.
Yeah, screw attack is going to be really useful in lower Norfair. So it's definitely a very nice find.
Oh, and there's the flippers at the missiles above Dragon.
Yeah, so that opens up Swamp Palace. That opens up another 6 checks for our runners, as well as a required crystal.
You'll also be able to do Ice Palace if Azure has picked up their bombos from Supers and Criteria.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we'll see, because I know Azure tends to like to skip some time-consuming checks, so we'll see whether or not, like, next time he enters Link to the Past and we see his inventory screen, whether or not he decided to go ahead and make that particular check. Now, Kachiri making his second attempt at Fantoon, getting a decent number of missiles in there. Now, the pattern that you really want to get with Fantoon is you want to shoot 2 missiles, wait about a second, shoot 2 more missiles, wait about a second, and then you can Doppler in a bunch of missiles. If you try to shoot a bunch all at once, then Fantoon's at the start, Fantoon's going to immediately close his eye.
I do find Fantoon to be like one of the hardest bosses to do, especially when you're running low percent.
Yeah, I mean, low percent Fantoon is pretty ridiculous, especially if you're doing the Fantoon first route. Yeah. It's just the flames do 40 damage each when you don't have a suit, and you only get 20 at a time from a health drop, so it's very hard to regain health in this fight if you don't have Varia.
Also, the flames tend to linger around a little bit after they die, which you need to be really careful.
Yeah, that's another thing that can be really annoying about this fight. That I find kind of an irritating mechanic, but I mean, yeah, Kachiri taking another death. And Asder going right for the Shaq Tool check here. I mean, recently Shaq Tool has held important progression, so this is definitely, given recent history, a very decent check to make, but we'll see what Shaq Tool's holding today.
We also have Nidorific and Lord Norfair. Oh, taking a quick reset.
Arachnus checking camera pegs, using item dash to his advantage. one of those Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitches in Link to the Past that is really handy. And let's see, what is at Shack Tool today? Just a piece of heart. Nothing important. We'll see how much aggression Asder takes out on Shack Tool here. Not killing Shack Tool. I'm a little surprised. And Kachiri falling in the ocean there. Yeah. I would not be surprised if Kachiri was maybe a little tilted about dying twice to Fantoon there. But Fantoon is a very challenging boss, and even I sometimes have problems with Fantoon still, so I cannot blame Kachiri for having difficulties.
High jump, it's hiding out at Screw Attack.
Yeah,
also
that's
taking the dip into Mire, or at least the swamp.
Yeah, those, high jump boots being like the last big mobility item and probably one of the most important. Like having to play without high jump boots is pretty annoying, honestly. You just like so many jumps that you just barely don't make when you don't have high jump boots that you're used to just being able to make easily. Asder, having checked Plasma, now has to do Shine Spark Stick, kill the pirates. Also showing off that the wall pirates, unlike the grounded pirates there, can be killed with just anything, which is really interesting. So Kachiri now at try 3 on Fantoon. We'll see if this goes better. Neaterific farming up super missiles. And Haraknis checking the Bombos tablet.
So Neaterific not finding much in Mire, but because they don't have their mirror, they wouldn't be able to check Checkerboard Cave.
So as they're making the interesting play up Forgotten Highway, which I find kind of surprising, given that like it looks like Asder has his gloves or has his mitts according to the tracker.
They definitely have their Titan Smiths because I saw them lift the Dark Rocks.
Maybe Asder just left Wreck Ship after finding the Titan's mitts and is only now going back to actually kill Fantoon. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, Kachiri getting a decent number of missiles in there. Neaterific, unfortunately dropping a space jump input there, but luckily has gravity suit, so can make it out of the acid. Yeah. Looks like Fantoon is almost down on Kachiri's side. Get your bless RNGs in chat to hopefully for Fantoon to be kind this time. Looks like one more round should do it.
So just miss
And Fantoon is down for Kachiri. Sorry.
Yeah, mine wasn't important. Just missiles.
And Haraknis finally going to make the Aga play. For those who have tuned in recently, this is actually required this seed because Ice Rod is at Lumberjack. and Turtle Rock is a required crystal.
And yeah, Aster decides to kill Phantoon and then just leave.
Yeah, so Asder has been known to make the play to just check the bottom of wrecked ship and then to dip without doing the top of wrecked ship plays. I think this is a habit he has from doing standard Super Metroid randomizers, where often that can be a play that pays off. Especially if you happen to find progression at the lower part of wrecked ship. So now he's coming back to do these other checks. He's going to be very happy to find his charge beam. Nidorific in his Ridley fight, doing a really nice job getting a lot of supers into Ridley. Looks like Ridley may be dead.
Yeah, just being fussy and trying to pick Nidorific up. Just likes to bombard the room first.
Yep. So Kachiri now making the save and wrecked ship, so he has now saved his victory over Phantoon. And is now
the last
going
thing you want to do is die on the way out of Attic.
Yeah, that would be tragic. And Heracnus is now going to be into his Aga fight. Now, unlike the standalone Link to the Past randomizer, in this, the randomization is not fixed for Aga Blue Balls, so we will see what Heracnus gets for RNG. So Heracnus already getting at 1 blue ball.
Nidorific proving how useful Screw Attack is trying to get out of Lower Norfair, because those Key Hunters still pack a punch even with both the armor upgrades.
Yeah, they do 50 energy each, so basically 2 hits is 1 energy tank gone. But yeah, like, Lower Norfair is like the area where Screw Attack shines the most, which isn't too surprising given that in the vanilla game you get Screw Attack in Lower Norfair. But I mean, still, it's an incredibly valuable item to have. And there's our hook shot. So
that's a very late hook shot.
Yeah. Now that fully opens up Swamp Palace, because I think I had talked about Swamp Palace earlier, but kind of brain farted and forgot about how you need hookshot to access most of it. So that's full Swamp Palace access and full Ice Palace access as well, because there is about half of the dungeon that I think logically requires hookshot.
Yeah, because of the room with the red jellies in, I think is very difficult to cross if you try and bomb jump.
Yeah. Yeah, I think depending on key layout, you can avoid that room potentially, but there are key layouts where going through that room is required by logic.
I think also technically crossing the spikes is considered required for the hookshot.
Oh yeah, that is also true.
Or at least some form of invincibility item.
So looks like Arachnus may be going for their ice rod, just to get that. No, gonna go right into Dark World. Yeah, probably will get ice rod like when they're about to go into Turtle Rock, because they don't necessarily need the ice rod for anything else. Neaterific getting the short charge to get the supers at the Main Street Missiles location. Yeah, so when you're trying to Shine Spark up to the Sky Missiles location, you really want to be basically as close to that one platform that was on the left of Kachiri's screen as possible. Yeah, so I think Kachiri may want that E-Tank, but actually decides not to go for it. I is confident with the amount of health he has, but those spikes coming up deal a lot of damage. 60 per hit, so well, he can definitely get through it with grapple. If he drops one of those grapple hits and hits the spikes more than once, he's going to be in a very dangerous place health-wise.
I think if you're trying to do the speed strats, you have to take 2, possibly 3 hits off the spike.
Yeah, with yeah, like in the any percent, you like the top runners can get through it just taking 2 hits from the spikes. And there we go. Kachiri got through it taking just 1 spike hit. So, yeah, an hour 37 minutes in, we're still looking for Fire Rod. We're still looking for Bow. And we still haven't seen. Okay, I guess we saw that Bombos is required for Misery Mire, but we still haven't seen a medallion requirement for Turtle Rock. And I think that's basically all we're missing for Go mode. Aster, I'm surprised, hasn't checked the wave gate till now. Accidentally leaves the room. But it does look like Aster did Brinstar skip earlier. Oh, we're also looking for Canis Samaria. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, runners do need Ice Rod. But we do know where that is. It is in Lumberjack Cave. But Ice Beam in Super Metroid is also an item that would be nice to have, but not required. Yeah, it's sometimes confusing talking about like ice because it's like there's an ice rod in Link to the Past, there's an ice beam in Super Metroid. As we're heading into Retrobrin, Naderific doing the check tool check. Arachnus checking King's Tomb. And Kachiri probably heading back into Link to the Past.
To answer your question, Miss Metroid, he did pick up his ice rod, yes.
But yeah, I mean, looking at items picked up progression-wise, it looks like Asder, just because of finding those flippers, is in the lead. Yeah, and Asder turning down the bug catching net. Asder being the caliber of runner that does not need such safeties. Unfortunately, Kachiri not really gaining height on that wall jump. He's going to kill these Booyons with supers, although I think that in this situation it would take a lot less ammo to kill them with power bombs, because it would just take 3 power bombs to kill all of them. But has barely enough supers to take them all out. Unfortunately, this is a challenging Shine Spark to get, even with the Booyons gone. And Kachiri is taking some unfortunate dips into the acid. Naderific taking down Botwoon so quickly that I didn't see any of it. Okay, Kachiri now starting to actually gain height and get the one side wall jumps there. And now sees the... Well, he sees that it's Bombos and decides to reset it. He at least has the information on where it is. Arachnus getting his red mail. And Asder now heading into Link to the Past, so we'll see which dungeon he decides to tackle first. Looks like he's going to head into Ice Palace based on where he's going, or he's going to do the hobo check that he neglected earlier. At this point, I don't think he needs the E-Tank that's there, but he will
Unfortunately, you can't
have
turn
it.
it down when he gives you it. I do find that when it comes to skipping items, it's much better to do it in Super Metroid, because in Link to the Past, you sort of have to open the chest, so you're going to get it regardless.
Yeah, and I mean, the items, like, I mean, they're not terribly time-consuming to pick up. It's not like in vanilla Super Metroid or in a lot of the standalone Super Metroid randomizer, where you have the item fanfare that's like means that every item pickup costs about 8 seconds there. So here the item pickups are almost free. Naderific fighting Dragon, choosing to just powerbomb the goo. With the ammo that he has, he doesn't need to pick up any drops off of it, so powerbombing is fairly a fairly good play there.
And we are going to get our Super Bunny Cave check as well. Oh, there's the Butter Sword.
Yep, so we have found all of the sword upgrades. Arachnus very well equipped to take on basically all of the bosses from here on out. I mean, I guess the only other thing would be silver arrows that he would want.
Unfortunately, I'm only going to be able to get the first chest in there because they don't have hookshot.
Yeah, but we'll finally be able to see what the medallion requirement is for Turtle Rock.
Bombos as well.
So that criteria super's location is required this seed. Now time for the Paradox Cave check. As they're finally making the Aga play, which again is required because Ice Rod is at Lumberjacks and Turtle Rock is a required dungeon. So we have Powder, that's a pretty decent safety, but and also opens up a Magic Bat. So far, just ammo at the top of Paradox Cave. Yeah. So basically, Paradox Cave today is just ammo cave. I think there's a room in Ganon's tower that's called the Armory, but I guess that would make that like the East Death Mountain Armory.
So Kachiri's now back to get his book. So hopefully he doesn't bomb the chest or something ridiculous like that. Yes, TR is also almost locked.
Yep, I'm sure Kachiri is not happy with that find, given that yeah, for those who are just tuning in, Kachiri was able to get the damage boost to like make that chest appear like about a half hour into the seed, but immediately died. So he was unable to pick up that book and missed out on a huge amount of progression because of that. So now he has to hightail it over to Desert to get his Moon Pearl, which will enable him to do basically anything in Dark World. And unfortunately, that guard making life a bit difficult for him.
Yeah,
And
also
also
get his boots from Lando.
Yeah.
Which will open up his mirror location from Bunk Rocks.
Yeah, missing out on a huge chain of progression. Also, Boots on Linmolas is also a really interesting situation because oftentimes you might avoid going to Desert because of the potential that it could be Boots locked. But when Boots winds up being one of the items you find in Desert, it can be kind of frustrating.
I think when you find Book this early on, Desert's sort of always worth going in just to check.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that also we know that Moon Pearl is on that ledge just makes it so you kind of have to go through Desert anyways. So, Kachiri at least happy that it's not Boots locked. So
also,
he'll be
with
able to
a fire source so early and the first glove upgrade available to them, it's like they had the tools to clear it if it didn't turn out to be Boots locked.
Neorific about to enter, or never mind. Basically going back through Meridia.
As they're just dropping in to pick up their ice rod.
Yeah. Because also Lumberjack is kind of an annoying location to have to route in. Kachiri's health is a bit questionable at this point. At this point, I think Kachiri's just going to take an intentional death to get back to the beginning of the dungeon and refill.
I think with Blue Mail inside the Light World dungeons, you're still sort of safe until you get down to like the one heart-ish.
Yeah, but now it's a lot less scary for Kachiri, yeah. But yeah, the early dungeons aren't that punishing. The later dungeons, like pretty much everything does like at least a full heart, if not 2 hearts of damage. Neaterific. Going out the Meridia escape and gonna check these red tower items. Kachiri finally able to pick up his Moon Pearl. So Kachiri finally has Dark World access, but is going to go ahead and kill Molas and get his boots. Aster opening up, or well, at least going to, he can't even open up Turtle Rock right now, but, oh, I guess he does
No, he
have
does have it,
Bombos.
yes.
So, unfortunately, Aster cannot do anything in Turtle Rock without the Cane of Samaria.
Unfortunately, you do have to open up at some point, so at least he's saving some time just now.
Yeah, and yeah, in chat being pointed out that yeah, the Chain Chomps in Turtle Rock do like more damage than almost anything in the game, short of Ganon. So yeah, those Chain Chomps being one of my most hated enemies in the game. Although I think the title for my most hated enemy in the game probably goes to the Dead Rocks in Death Mountain.
The squirrels are great as long as they don't get in your way.
It's not quite on the script for Blind, but has enough hearts in Red Mill that he should be completely fine. As long as he doesn't get bodied by the heads, yeah, completely fine. And only a missile pack for his trouble and a the second pendant. Yeah, it's almost like a lot of people agree that Dead Rocks are annoying enemies. And Kachiri also finishing a pendant dungeon, but picking up his boots and probably wishing he had those a lot earlier. So we'll see if Kachiri decides to follow that progression chain. Because the thing is, Kachiri does have a lot open to him. So he could very well not like check Bonk Rocks for a very long time. But looks like he is heading in that direction.
So are we going to read the pedestal before we pull it, or are we just going to blind pull it?
At this point, like, you just blind pull it pretty much, so Arachnus, I think, is about to get some bad news. We'll see his reaction. Yep, some angry sword slashes. And just gonna use some ether. And leaving some bombs behind. Arachnus is not happy with what he found there. So Kachiri gonna pick up his Ice Rod. I mean, I suppose there are worse, like, pendant dungeons to full clear than Desert Palace, Tower of Hera, and Thieves Town, especially when Desert Palace was a required part of the progression. So, as annoying as it is for there to be nothing on pedestal, like, those pendant dungeons weren't the biggest waste of time. But Arachnus now going back to pick up their Bombos medallion now that they know that it's required.
I think as well, with the 3 pendants being so quickly available to them, considering you would pretty much clear her anytime you're up there anyway, regardless if it's a pendant, because there's always the chance that the second item is on Moldorm, and then having a Thieves' Town is ready the second you have access to Dark World. It's not a particularly bad play, it's not a wrong play, it's just given that we already knew from the horrific screen that it was in fact dead, it was just one of those things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where just the time investment to go pull pedestal in finding nothing is just kind of frustrating when you don't find anything good there. But I mean, it's always fun when we get to see a blind ped pull, even when we as the viewers already know what we're gonna find there. Just seeing the player reaction to what they find is always fun.
So Nadorific's now pretty much finished up with Super Metroid. They just have to go and kill Mother Brain. Probably leave that for later though, perhaps hoping to find some beam combos.
Yeah, I mean, then again, sometimes like runners, if they're kind of not sure how they want to proceed with the seed, they might just go ahead and kill Mother Brain because it gives you a little bit of time just doing something that's fairly like trivial, just to kind of gives you a bit of time to think about like what you want to do next. Arachnus going ahead and picking up that heart container, I think having like taken a fall and the jump back up, they decide might just be worth the 5 seconds to pick it up. Getting trolled by the waiver trying to make the space jumps up there to the Norfair Reserve location. So Astor and Ice Palace. We'll see how much of this dungeon Astor decides to clear. Astor is basically out of magic now. Has to farm more magic or just be really careful. And with just finding a heart piece there, doesn't really have much magic there. He might have like having a key might have been more useful, but because there is a magic refill in that room. As we're getting that really nice bomb jump, I think that's the one you were talking about earlier, is kind of a very awkward bomb jump to get.
Yeah, that's the one that I see most people avoid if they can.
Yeah, I think Azure might have been hoping that one of those was magic, because he's pretty much out.
He does have half magic though, so he doesn't need as much as you would normally need to pick up. Just like 1 or 2 pots.
Yeah, he just needs enough to be able to use Bombos twice for the rest of the dungeon. Actually, maybe he only needs it for the boss at this point, because I think he's cleared the only other room where he needs to actually kill the Freezard. Yeah, I think Astor may have wanted to find the big key by now, but yeah, unless he's already found all the items, I haven't been keeping count.
I have seen 2 heart pieces from him, but that's it. Now, there is
Yeah,
another magic pot in there. Yep, he's going to pick that up. So he's definitely got enough magic to bomb boast the boss to Cold Stare.
okay. Yeah, chat saying that there's a key in the ice tea room. I don't know the key logic too well in this dungeon, so
Quotes here also dropping the key for him.
yeah.
Although it's amazing how quick that kill is when you've got Bar Sword.
Yeah, and when you are skilled enough to be able to like consistently get the cold stare puffs in the corner and just repeatedly slash at them, that's something that I still struggle with. As they're heading back into Super Metroid, probably heading into Lower Norfair and heading into the Mire area that way.
They'll be happy to find their hook shot when they get down there.
Yeah, and that might finally make Asder make the Swamp Palace play, because I think, yeah, he's the only one who's found flippers so far. But Asder's going to go to Croc, it looks like. Actually, was there anything useful at Croc?
There was Screw Attack, but that was about it.
Okay, I mean, the screw attack's useful, but yeah, isn't what Asder's looking for.
So Neorific does have flippers because they have been to Dragon.
Okay, so that just wasn't marked on Neorific's tracker then.
So it was just power bombs above Golden Chorizo. I wasn't sure if Neorific had saw that earlier, and that's why they decided to reset.
Yeah, well, so we know Hookshot is in Mireshed, was it?
It was on Lower Norfair Escape.
Okay, yeah, so... Yeah, when Azur gets there, which will be a while from now, then he'll be able to check Swamp, which will be new information.
Kachiri taking a dip into Palace of Darkness without the bow. Now this is particularly good because you haven't found bow yet, so it's nice to know if it could actually be lurking inside Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, but we'll see immediately if he is bow locked. Based on this first chest. If it's a key, he can continue. If it's anything else, he is bow locked. And about the worst thing it could possibly be is the map or compass. Or the big key. Yeah, he can't continue here.
Neorific looking to pick up their red clothes.
So Azur picking up his screw attack. I mean, Azur is the caliber of player who doesn't need the screw attack, but it will certainly make things faster for him.
Rigan has chosen to play into Mire, so we can get to see some new information on there.
Yeah, there's only 2 items in Mire, but I've also seen Mire hide progression a decent amount of times, so it is possible that the Cane of Samaria could just literally be in Mire. It's probably one of the worst places to find it, just because you're generally not going to dip into the dungeon that requires the item to look for that item, but it still could very well be there, and sometimes those are the gambles that you need to go for?
I have personally found it in the vanilla location in Pendant Mire, so it's pretty rough when it's there. But it looks like there was a plasma beam. So Rakan now capable of microwaving anyone.
Yeah, unfortunately, going this way to find that the crystal switch hasn't been flipped, so yeah, has to go around the long way. Yeah, the crystal switches are, yeah, kind of in a couple of awkward locations as far as routing this. I mean, this one isn't too bad. The other crystal switch is like way in an out of the way place that you otherwise have no reason to go to. Nidourific almost taking a fall to a Moldorm. Yeah, Mire is a dungeon that's really difficult to route. Just because it's like,
yeah, the debate is whether or not you go up to do the vanilla big key, because it is such a time consume, and then whether or not you go for the big chest or not.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, depending on what your key layout winds up being, and yeah, there's a number of factors that, yeah, just like depending can make it really awkward to route. So we have two runners, both in the tile room in Tower of Hera at the same time. Asder is fighting Golden Chorizo. Golden Chorizo goes down.
So Kichiri looks like he's barely on that blue peg just to get the invincibility frames.
Yeah, like I was thinking for a second he didn't quite make it on there, but yeah, he was barely in the right position for that. So, from the looks of it, the item was not on the big key location. So, looks like we are checking the big chest. And Heractus has to go the long way because he doesn't have hook shot. So I'm guessing there is an item on Vitreous. I didn't see two of the checks, but based on what Heractus was checking, there's an item on Vitreous.
Just unfortunately, we don't actually have access to it yet.
Wow. Nidourific doesn't have boots yet, so he is going through the version of this that I like to call the Resident Sleeper Cave.
I like to call this the Walk of Shame.
Yeah, that too. Like, yeah, I guess that's what you call it when you could have had boots to go through there. Yeah, I'm surprised that Nidourific doesn't have his boots, but yeah, maybe just decided that the Moon Pearl was all that there was to find in Desert, which would be kind of unfortunate. I mean, I guess for Nidourific's sake, let's hope that Ganon's Tower Big Key isn't boots locked.
Well, he needs to go back there anyway because he needs boots to get the mirror, and he needs the mirror to get into Swamp Palace.
Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, in that case, that doesn't really matter because boots are just required in general.
It may be possible, I would say it may be possible for him to mirror when he's checking out Mire, but I just said he needs the mirror.
So Azure also making the Meyer play. So where could our Cane of Samaria be hiding? Oh, and Heractus found silver somewhere. I didn't see quite where. As Neorific is clearing able to full clear Hookshot Cave, finds the first shield, and otherwise nothing useful. Oh, silvers were at Magic Bat. Thank you, chat.
I'm kind of guessing that Swamp Palace is the play here because there's not really much else we haven't seen.
Yeah. And Swamp Palace is like pretty deep in the progression chain because you need that mirror from Bonk Rock, so you need the flippers from Dragon, and you need the hook shot from Lower Norfair Escape. So like you're talking like yeah, pretty deep in the progression chain.
Also, with containing as many items as they can, I'm surprised no one's checked it yet.
Well, I mean, no one has the items to check it because Astor has the flippers but not the hook shot. Yeah, so Nidorific's the only one who can, and Nidorific's just been avoiding it.
Nidorific needs
Also,
the mirror.
Nidorific has flippers.
Nidorific needs to go back to the desert to get their boots so they can get the flippers.
Oh yeah, Nidorific needs the mirror. That's why Nidorific can't check Swamp Palace. Yeah, this seed has been like I'd call it kind of trolly, just with like, yeah, how deep like Swamp is in the progression chain, and just where Mirror wound up being, in that it itself wound up being fairly deep in the progression chain. So it looks like Asder may be the first to like fully assemble the progression chain needed to get to Swamp Palace, while Heracnus is struggling a bit with the Gold Pirates. Tried to do the Shine Spark kill, but unfortunately didn't quite get it, and now kind of has that extra Samus echo on screen. So we're seeing some guesses as to where the items might be in chat. We've got guesses that Pod has everything, which is definitely possible. 5 items in Pod, and then we have yeah, we have a guess of Bowen, Swamp, and Keen on Helmasaur. So yeah, Kachiri, unfortunately, because of not finding the book until fairly late, is a little bit behind, but yeah, is able to make the much quicker way through Spiral Cave, having the Pegasus boots. Needs to not use the Pegasus boots through the jelly there when it's electrified.
So we've got Ricanis finishing off Ridley. We've got Astor heading down to Ridley. So hopefully Ricanis goes up through Meridia, and then they'll have access to their flippers.
Yeah. Looks like Ridley is very close to dead on Hackness's side, and Asder is heading towards Ridley himself. Yeah, showing off the Shine Spark kills on the Golden Pirates. And Hackness has killed Ridley, and Azure is almost at Ridley. We will probably see a high five between them with Arachnus exiting Ridley as Azure's entering. Neaterific, meanwhile, is dispatching Cold Stare.
To answer a question in chat, I don't think we've seen anyone hand in the pendant. So there is always a chance that Bo or something could be on the green pendant.
Yeah, well, we're seeing Kachiri head in that direction. So it'll be really interesting if that winds up being the case. Because I forget, did we find all the items in Eastern, or is there an item on our most nights?
There is an item on Armos.
Yeah, so let's see. Just a heart container on Sahasrara today. As they're making very quick work of Ridley. Neaterific evidently did not find all the items in Ice Palace, so is making his way back through. I mean, oftentimes you do kind of make the gamble that there will be an item on Cold Stare, but there wasn't today. Just because Ice Palace is one of those dungeons that's really nice to go mode, but really annoying to full clear.
That is true. If we find the bow and we get access to Eastern, there could be something on the big red bomb.
Okay, so Arachnus finding his hook shot. Aster will be following suit fairly quickly.
So missiles were the third item inside Ice Palace. 2 heart containers and a pack of missiles.
So Kachiri getting the silvers, still needs the bow. And Azure finally has the hook shot. So Swamp Palace is now open to Azure. Or fully open. He could always enter it, but he wouldn't be able to get past the first couple of checks. I think there are 2 chests that you can check in that dungeon without hookshot. Actually, there's 4, but 2 of them are really time consuming without having hookshot, because you have to go through the left side basically twice.
I've definitely made it a habit just to clear out the left side, unless I know for certain I'm 100% go mode, because I found risking it just isn't really worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's very time consuming to get back to if there winds up being a required item there. Arachnus demonstrating the charged plasma one-shot on Crocomire, because Crocomire was not really programmed to as for the plasma beam, so it basically does enough of a hit to him to walk him all the way back into the acid with one shot. So Kachiri entering into Thieves Town. We'll see if Kachiri winds up doing the blind ped pull as well.
Which we unfortunately know is just bombs. Naderific checking Magic Bat and we'll get their silvers. Looks like Asda is finally deciding to dip into Swamp Palace now that they've got their hookshot.
Yeah, we'll probably full clear this. Although, I mean, Azure may decide to just make the player right to skip the left side and go right to Argus. We'll see what he decides to do. But then again, like, Azure has been, like, pretty thorough with the Super Metroid side of things, like going to Crocomire before before going into Lower Norfair. But Azure's like one of those players that's hard to predict what he's going to do as far as like making checks versus skipping them. But Azure's also one of the top players in this, so he definitely always knows what he's doing and has a plan as for what he's going to do.
I don't think there was anything of importance in this Palace Big Chest.
Yeah, so Azure's going to make the play right to the back of Swamp Palace, so he is gambling a little bit that there isn't something on the left side. He might go, if there turns out to be nothing on the back, he may make he may then return to check left side. He may also be thinking that the big key might be back here, in which case he can also check the big chest at the same time. So just a heart piece and the map. He's just got one more chest and then Argus left in the back, along with the checks I skipped. But yeah, unfortunately finding both the map and the compass back here. Shiri in the blind fight, having a little bit of a rough time with it. But does manage to get it down with just 2.5 hearts remaining. So Kachiri has cleared all 3 pendant dungeons.
Astor making really short work of Argus.
Yeah. Showing off like how much skill he has at this game. And just an E-Tank on Argus, so we found 3 items thus far. Or, no, we've had to have found 4, because there's 3 checks left, and I don't believe he's found the big key yet. So there's 2 more items left in Swamp, and Azur's going to go right back for them. Kachiri heading into Skull Woods, going to clear out the front. Well, I guess Nidorific still hasn't done the Aga play, so Nidorific's going to clear out Aga 1 so that he then will have access to the Ice Rod that is hiding in Lumberjack Cave.
He's literally going to make very short work of this tower because then he has the bar shard.
Yeah. And decides to pick up that fairy, so we'll have sword beams for the next few rooms, which, although this next room he wants to be very careful about sword beams, because as soon as he uses a sword beam it will aggro all of the guards, although he already has done so, so that point is kind of moot. Kachira getting very close to getting grabbed there, but finds both items in Skull Woods. We'll see. Looks like Kachiri is going to make the play towards the pedestal. So we'll see if he does a blind check, and we'll get to see his reaction to that.
It'll be very interesting considering his reaction to the vanilla morph ball we had earlier.
Yeah. And unfortunately getting a mirror bonk. So yeah, looks like we are going to get another blind ped pull.
And Astor found the red cane inside the left side of Swamp Palace. I wouldn't say it's early Turtle Rock access, considering you pretty much had to full clear Super Metroid to gain access to Swamp.
Okay, Kachiri just making one use of the Ether Medallion in response to those blueberries on the pedestal. Yeah, so looks like Astor might be making the play towards Turtle Rock. I find it interesting because so this Turtle Rock could wind up being Fire Rod blocked depending on key layout. Basically, there needs to be a key in the very first chest, and then there needs to be a key on the chain chomps in order for him to be able to progress without Fire Rod. Nidorific in the Aga 1 fight. Arachnus checking Shack Tool.
I think the only other thing the red cane blocked, however, was the Vitreous fight. Would it be cruel to suggest the flute is on the first chest of Turtle Rock?
I mean, that would...
And then Viri has like the fire rod or the bow or something like that.
I mean, that would probably be something the Seed would do with how it's treated our runners thus far.
I have found a number of times where the flute has actually been in Turtle Rock on that chest, but it was never as cruel as to lock you out.
So as they're entering Turtle Rock, Nidorific going to check the catfish. Yeah, I think we have seen this check already. Arachnus is microwaving Batoon. Having assembled the entire microwave combo. And Kachiri does not have Plasma Beam, so is going to have to do a normal Croc kill. Yeah, also Kachiri not having charge. Wait, I guess Kachiri never picked up the charge beam. Although I know he was in that area. I wasn't paying attention, but I guess Turtle Rock wound up being fire locked.
So yeah, we know Pod is bow locked, so Asdar was not going to make very much progress in here. So I personally haven't seen the catfish, so I don't know what it was on.
As they're getting his heart container from Sahasrara. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's basically getting two guaranteed checks out of the way, although, yeah, one of them he's going to be disappointed to find the big key. Although, if he can go mode pod later, that will make it a little bit, maybe only barely a little bit better, because he will have to go to the bow locked side no matter what to get one of the small keys.
So we are starting to run out of checks, and that's concerning because if Vitreous does have our progression, our only way to access Myers to dip all the way back into Lower Norfair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with the items that, with our runners having, like, Gravity, Varia, and Space Jump, that's not the worst thing in the world. Oh, and Speed Booster helps with that too, but it's, yeah, definitely kind of a trolly thing for the seed to force. Nidrific gonna be the third runner to get the bad news. Angry sword slashes from Nidrific. Arachnus checking Plasma. Is more equipped to escape plasma than what Asder was earlier.
He has all three methods of dealing with those pirates. He has Plasma, Secure Attack, and Speed Booster.
So Nidorific is finally returning to Desert Palace. We'll see how Nidorific reacts to finding the boots. And Asder making the play to dip into Thieves Town. Are we gonna get another blind ped check? Although, I mean, then again, Asder probably checked that earlier when his stream was having technical difficulties. So at this point, our runners are basically kind of retracing each other's steps. Kachiri checking Bubble Mountain. Azure clearing Thieves Town. Not sure where Herecnus is going. Okay, Herecnus does have flippers, which are just not marked on the tracker.
And Neuroific taking a quick dash into the wall. Let out a bit of frustration for finding the bit so late.
Yeah.
To answer our chat, Spike Cave contains power bombs.
So Neorific now gonna check the boots locked locations.
So it's definitely looking that Vitreous does contain our progression, which is really mean of the seed to do.
Yeah.
Neuroific about to pick up their mirror and will not likely be too happy about that. Yep, there we are. As they're making their way towards the pedestal, so we're going to have 3 blind pulls of the pedestal.
Looking like it. Because Azure, we'll see if Azure pulls out the book, but like at this point, like the amount of time it takes to check it first is like, yeah, might as well just blind pull it if you already have all 3 pendants. So, yeah. You know it's a trolley seed when you have 3 blind ped pulls. Yeah. And then, yeah, Azure just being no nonsense is not going to give us any kind of rage slashes. So now I think Azure is going to be heading back to Mire, and I think chat does bring up the point that like all we found in Mire was plasma, which isn't really required progression. So in that sense, the seed didn't logically force a double dip. It just kind of was. It's just that naturally you're going to dive into Mire while you're there, so you wind up with the kind of like most players are going to double dip. So we have Nidorific and Herecnus both in Swamp Palace.
They'll be looking to pick up their red cane from the western side of Swamp.
As they're entering Lower Norfair for the second time. Yeah, interesting. I guess Azure does not trust the Green Gate glitch with only 3 supers. Although I have seen him go for Green Gate glitches with fewer supers than that, so yeah, it is a bit of an interesting decision. Kachiri using X-ray scope for its intended purpose to check the cathedral power bomb item, and finding that it's just power bombs is going to return to Bubble Mountain. And Azure going to head right to Vitreous.
There's a conversation in chat about hints, but it's the reason there's no hints in this game is because the combo randomizer still uses version 29 of the rando logic for Link to the Past. And Total's currently working on doing the SMZ3 multi-world stuff. So it's not likely we'll see that update anytime soon.
Yeah, and also the fact, as mentioned in chat, that Total just dislikes the idea of hints, so we're unlikely, even if there is an update to V30 logic, the hints are unlikely to be implemented. And Total being the developer of this combo randomizer. So we have two Argus fights at the same time, as Heracnus is finishing with his Argus fight and Nidorific is starting the Argus fight. And both of those runners showing off their skill in completing this fight really quickly. And Kachiri finally heading into Meridia.
As they're using cadence strats so he can dash through the eyeballs.
I didn't even see what that item was.
It's the bow!
Yeah, the bow, like, practically hidden behind an explosion. So yeah, now I think like Azur's just gonna immediately head to Pod, and then to Eastern.
That's a bad eyeball holding the bow like that.
Yeah, so I mean that was like really deep in the progression chain, because let's see, I mean we had the book in Eastern Palace locking the Moon Pearl on Desert Ledge, and the boots on Lenmola's, which locked the mirror. And then we had, yeah, and then you needed Varia Gravity and Space Jump, which were, and to get into Mire, but you also needed, yeah, you also needed the cane from Swamp Palace, which required the hook shot from the back of Lower Norfair escape. That's which you kind of had to do all that in an unnatural order, like going all the way through Lower Norfair escape to get the hook shot to go back to go back through. So basically, you had to double dip the lava dive to get to Mire to get the bow. And I'm sure there was a step in there that I was missing. So yeah. That was a pretty ridiculous chain in the logic there. So we're seeing a prediction for Fire Rod on Pyramid Fairy. We'll see if this winds up being true in a bit.
Aster looks to be just straight running for Helmasaur.
Yeah. I mean, that does seem to be kind of Azur's strategy with this, is just to kind of dive right to the boss and then only go back for more items if he needs to.
He knows he's only looking for one item, which is the fire rod, so if it happens to be in Helmasaur, you just saved yourself the whole dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, it just... Yeah, because I mean, it's not like you'd probably wind up having to mirror anyways, so might as well just kind of dive right to the back, and then worst case, you just have to go right into the dungeon when you would have had to mirror back from the big chest anyways. So yeah, I actually really like this play from Azur now that I think about it. So Harkness and Ice Palace, Kachiri heading into Aqueduct, and Azur on Helmasaur. And showing off his skill again at the game and just doing straight up hammer shots where oftentimes runners will hold their sword out just to be absolutely sure that they don't bonk into Helmasaur King by mistake.
I think it also increases the range of your hammer attack when you hold your sword out. Just gives you that extra little bit of range for the hammer, because it's such a weird hitbox to be aiming up with.
Yeah. Yeah, hammer has just a very awkward hitbox. So yeah, Azur, as we expected, just heading right back into right back into pod. Going back to the Bollock side, which I find interesting.
I don't think he has the key to go through the main door.
Oh right, yeah. So yeah, that's just a consequence in the order that he did things. That there wasn't a key. So yeah, he'll need to access the key from the backside.
It's looking like Natorific is starting to make their way back down towards Lower Norfair. They will be getting their bow very shortly once they get to Mire.
Kachiri checking the sand pits. Just going to go ahead and get that check out of the way while or before he does Dragon. So Natorific going to be the second of our runners to take their second dip into the Mire area. Natorific going to be going for the green gate glitch.
I don't think Natorific's killed Golden Torizo, so it's much faster for them to go that way.
Yeah. I think in any case it's slightly faster to go that way than via the quote intended route. Although I might be wrong on that if you've already killed or if you've already lowered the acid in the room before Golden Torizo. That may be the one case in which it may be tied or may be faster. I've never actually seen it timed out.
So Aster has finished looking through Pod and didn't find any fire rod. So it's likely hiding behind Armos.
Yeah, because I mean, have we found anything else that where, or is there any other locations that really haven't been checked? I mean, this is kind of a cruel seed in that, like, it's basically forcing all of the runners to essentially hundo it.
So I think I'm 3 for 3 on quite bad seeds to be commentating on. My first one had Ridley hiding the Titans mitts from people. The second one was a spoiler race that involved a backdoor Meridia play to get your first glove from the sandpits, which I think would have been very interesting to play without the spoiler luck. And now
It-
we have this sort of trolley speed where you practically have to 100% the speed to find out where you're going.
Yeah, feel like that. Yeah, because I played in that spoiler race, and there's the fire rod. And yeah, I remember basically like having like just sitting on the pause screen for like a minute or more multiple times, like thinking about where I had to go, just because that spoiler seed was just ridiculous. So yeah, that finally puts Asder in go mode at like 2 hours 51 minutes. So as they're going to clear out Schoolwoods first, that way he can then go and make just one more trip to Death Mountain to clear out Turtle Rock. Yeah. Actually, I want to say I saw Asder use Charge Beam earlier. I think it's just not marked on the tracker because Asder's stream was having technical difficulties earlier, so we didn't get to see a lot of his checks during the first like hour and a half of this race.
He used it against Ridley apparently, so yeah, he's got it. I doubt he's going to have an issue with it even without it because of the amount of ammo he's likely picked up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's alright, Miss Metroid. Yeah, you like with his stream having technical difficulties, like I think it's natural to have missed some checks from Azure. Which yeah, big shout outs to Miss Metroid for doing the tracking today. Yeah, it definitely makes our lives as commentators a lot easier. And just one person doing the tracking for 4 racers is extremely difficult. So, yeah. Kuchiri finally finding their flippers. And as they're making very quick work of Mothula.
Thankfully, the randomizer has fixed the bug where he doesn't take damage from the golden sword.
Yeah, because that would be just painful in that situation, because it would basically be fire rod shots as the only way to damage Mothula, and yeah. Mothula is really difficult to deal with even at the best of times.
The worst thing about that fight is the spikes, because the spikes do 1 heart damage, and it doesn't matter which mail upgrade you're on, they will always do 1 heart damage to you.
Yeah. Kachiri going for the grapple kill on Dragon, having not found Plasma Beam yet and being unable to do a microwave kill. Nidorific on the Vitreous fight.
Raknish looks like they are about to dip into mire as well, now haven't found their red cane.
Yep, just doing sword slashes on the eye, not yet having the bow, because the bow, of course, being right behind Vitreous. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I guess that's Vitreous's best security mechanism, hiding behind him the best way of defeating him. But it wasn't a good enough security mechanism against our runners.
Nah, especially with Gold Sword, it's still short work. Sometimes I think it's always concerning when you get a Gold Sword very quickly, because why would you need such powerful weaponry unless you're not going to get any other form of powerful weaponry?
So yeah, now Nidorific making the play back to Pod. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, just based on like the natural way you route these things, our runners are probably going to full clear Pod before doing Eastern Palace. I mean, it'd be interesting to think though, because it's like whether or not it would be like thinking in the mind of the runners, whether like you would consider just like mirroring doing Eastern first and then going back to Pod, considering you know there's just one item to check in Eastern. But I guess in terms of item density, Pod is the best play because there's 5 potential items there.
I think the item density is purely what drives that decision in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely makes sense because you want to just, it just gives you like 5 potential chances at your fire rod as opposed to just one. But you also have the issue of like, you have to clear both. If you have to clear both dungeons anyways, then yeah, you could potentially like the fact that you clear pod first doesn't change the fact that you still need to do the same spend the same amount of time in Eastern. So Nidorific's going to full clear pod before going and killing Helmasaur King. Ragnas doing sword spins on Vitreous.
I think Kojiro was having a bit of an issue trying to get Space Jump to work. It's a very finicky part of Super Metroid is trying to work out how Space Jump works.
Yeah, and it's even worse when you don't have high jump boots because you have fewer frames to activate your space jump. Using the red, I guess that switch is reachable from using the red meringue. It's something I've never really thought to do, considering that the NMG strat is to just use an arrow. And Azure taking down Trinex. So Azure, now with all 7 crystals, with all dungeons cleared, is now going to be heading to GT. So if everyone in chat can, there's 22 possible locations for the big key in Ganon's Tower. So if you can get your guesses in chat as to where you think the big key is going to be.
So which number do you like to go for?
I'm like, I usually tend to go for like number 7, but I'm pretty sure I saw 7 in chat, so in this case I'm going for number 8. So yeah, I mean, because this is just a weekly and not a tournament where there's no official leaderboard for this, but we'll still just kind of do it for fun. So as we're going right side first, we'll see what he decides to do after picking up these first 2 chests. Green rupee, missile.
Legendary green rupee. Has eluded us this entire scene.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 2 green rupees in the item pool, so there's a key on the torch.
So yeah, I have no idea why Kochiri has decided to go through Forgotten Highway to get back to Ricksha.
I mean, I guess he hasn't done the wrecked ship E-tank check yet, so yeah, I guess he decided he just wanted to take care of that. I think he just realized he didn't save, so that reset would have been bad. Okay, so it's done 8 checks, and now it's going to return to right side. So doing a slight variation on Dark Magician strat. Normally with Dark Magician strat, you just go full left side, go to the basically the room with the 4 chests, and then or in the skull or the skeletons, and then mirror out of that. But he also did the room after that with the fire bar. As they're getting trolled a bit by the Gibdo. So 9, small key. 10 is our big key. So as they're now going to head up. Brackness about to get his fire rod.
So definitely a smart decision to decide to go back and check out the right side of Ganon's tower before full clear on the left.
Yeah, so we did not get a guess of 10. So our closest looks like Elharm 9, who guessed 9. So
I think Rakinus made that play of going to check Eastern first and then going into the pod.
yeah. So in this case, it definitely pays off because now he can just go mode pod and not have to bother checking any of the back of this dungeon. Azure clearing through the gauntlet, making very quick work of it, showing his experience with NMG, just like flying through those gauntlet rooms, which are, yeah, not exactly trivial. Gonna just use Silver Arrow strats on Lenmola's too, and getting a
Gets the
one
first
cycle.
no problem.
Yeah, Hazard using 2 Cane activations to kill all of the Wizrobes in that room. Neaterific making very quick work of Lenmola's, and so Neaterific getting his Go Mode item. Azure clearing the first torch room.
Need to be very careful not to despawn Adam's Tower with that. I always hear about this wonderful glitch where you can despawn all of Aghanim's Terror, but I've never seen it happen.
Yeah,
Azure that looked like a beam.
That was Ice Beam, so Azur's going to be really happy to find that because it will make his Torian that much faster, because he'll be able to just fly through the Metroid rooms instead of having to powerbomb them. I wonder what else he could be looking for to have opened that chest. I guess, have our runners found Wave Beam at all?
I don't think we've seen Wave Beam yet.
Yeah, so I guess that's the one thing that we could be looking for. Might have just been somewhere else at the bottom of Ganon's tower, considering we've like seen pretty much every other location. And Moldorm.
Yeah, it's definitely in the bottom side somewhere.
Yeah, Moldorm was just guarding the compass as his last possession, and Azure and Agatu. Getting a double on the first round that, like, honestly might have been able to be a triple. Getting another double here, with the third one being blue balls. So very nice. Okay, I guess I thought he got one more in than he actually did. Okay, but even still, very nice Aga 2 from Azure. And the only time that the Swag Duck ever shows up in the Dark World. But yeah, this is just a really trolly seed. Just backloaded so much of the progression. And I think the fact that like even Asder basically had to 100% this seed just shows how trolly this wound up being. Lamp was relatively early. I forget where precisely it was, but it was a very early check.
Yeah, Uncle
Oh,
had it.
yeah, you're right, Uncle. As you're already on the teleport phase. Just one more slash here.
I think the seed's been rather good at giving you some like kind of false hope with, oh look, here's the lamp quite early, or like here's the book, here's your glass, and then decided, nah, I'm just gonna hide the Morphin Ball and Vanilla Spot.
Yeah, would have been like, it would be interesting to see like, yeah, who knows if like any of the off-stream runners had like gone for the like vanilla morph gamble. And get your single G's in chat for Asder as he finishes off Ganon.
I wonder if the early Morphin Ball location check would have actually paid off, because you would have got access to your first sword quite easily, but apart from that, there was nothing else down there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just the knowledge of where Morph is might have been helpful. Because, I mean, yeah, there weren't a lot of locations that it opened up, but like the hunt for Morph can just be one of the more annoying things, and just like knowing where it is right off the bat can be really useful. So now, as they're making really nice use of Spring Ball there to clear through Parlor. As Nidorific enters Turtle Rock. Cheery having just bought potions and is now going to be heading to Ice Palace. And fortunately, Kachiri kind of fell behind with not finding because he did not find the book for about an hour after the other runners, because he took an unfortunate death in Eastern Palace just as he spawned the vanilla big key chest that had the book. Yeah. I mean, book was logically lamp locked, but it was still accessible. Like, all of our runners are capable of doing those dark rooms. As you're pausing there to I'm actually not sure what because he still looks like he has screw attack on. Maybe he was just turning off Varia and he didn't do it on the elevator. Because Azur's probably going to be going for stand-up glitch, so having Varia off now makes that potentially faster and safer. Oh, Kachiri diving into Lower Norfair now.
I think Kachiri has managed to exhaust all other locations at this point.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what... yeah, I guess because he doesn't... Yeah, he doesn't like have like the logical capability to full clear any crystal dungeons, so...
Yeah, the baby skip without waveless is kind of torture, because you have to just shoot away one bit at a time, one bit at a time.
Yeah, really impressive for Azur to pull that off. And also impressive to do the speed Zeb skip there, requiring a very tight stutter 3 short charge. This is going to be a bit slow because Azur doesn't have the supers to do this. Is going to have to just rely on missiles, but is done with this. Now it should be 30 charge shots on Mother Brain here with not having wave beam. Yep. That Mega Man sprite looks interesting, like as it's being held by that Chozo statue.
So like the Chozos are just holding a hat. Going, how do I put this on?
Kachiri using Spring Ball there to carefully pick up that E-Tank. Spring Ball being really reliable for that, because you will get the first frame jump when you are using Spring Ball off of the crumble blocks. so you're guaranteed not to fall through them. Whereas with space jump, you always have the possibility of dropping your space jump input, and just at that point, you are basically falling through the crumble blocks. That can be a really tilting thing if it happens in a 100% run of Super Metroid. As they're setting up for stand-up glitch, he's just like space jumping in place here with a little bit of a broken sprite because of the game's check there. The game does 2 checks there to try to ground you, but if you're in the air, then the game cannot crouch lock you, but it does kind of mess up Samus's sprite a bit until she lands.
So Neurorific decided to check all the chests on Laser Bridge, and we found the flute on the last one.
Yeah, which I think is not incredibly useful to him now, because he doesn't need to go anywhere else in A Link to the Past unless he wants to pick up potions, but I feel like he would have done that before heading to Turtle Rock if he were even going to do that.
It also shows that the only expected way to get into Mire was actually through Lower Norfair.
Yeah. We're really just confirming that fact that we kind of already deduced, because I guess those are really the only other locations to check. So as they're now into the escape.
We have Neurorific heading over to Ganon's Tower, and we have Reckonus just finishing up Trinex, so they're close on each other's heels.
And as they're pulling off a beautiful blue bomber strat there to get through the speed blocks there, where you basically crouch to get a speed keep, and then you use a spring ball to propel yourself up and break the speed blocks. It saves a little bit of time, but it's really, really cool looking when you get it. So yeah, that was really nice tech from Asder, showing why he's like one of the top tier Super Metroid players. And with that, Asder is entering the ship, and Asder has done with an official SRL time of 3 hours, 18 minutes, 5 seconds. Showing just how, and finishing not just first place in the restream, but first place overall. And we are joined by Asder, a GG Asder.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, that definitely was one trolley seed. With just like how backloaded like the Link to the Past progression was.
Oh my god, I got my first crystal 2 hours in.
Yeah, I mean, you know it's a trolley seed when you see 3 blind ped pulls on the restream.
Nice. I mean, okay, so Ped didn't take that long, because we had... what was it? Yeah, we had, required desert, and then... I don't remember, was Hera required? Probably not, actually. But it was
Yeah,
easy.
it wasn't required, but it was green, and you tend to be up there anyway.
Yeah, it was like kind of the obvious play. I think there was something on... yeah, I don't remember.
It might have been Varia in Thieves Town too, or something like that. So yeah, I think it was just that it just happened to line up where the pendant dungeons were just the dungeons that you tend to do anyways, with the exception of like desert just being flat out required. So
I felt that was obvious because of the lamp waiting to book, where it did.
Yeah.
It was a risk going there without boots, so that was pretty funny to see boots online though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always an interesting thing. Yeah, just because it's like desert's that one dungeon that can tend to be boots locked, although not today.
I had a feeling that even if I couldn't beat desert, there was going to be a progression there. So Pearl and Desert Ledge. Even if I couldn't beat the dungeon, I had that. I knew boots were required because of the ice rod at Lumberjack, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's like that, it just to add to the trolliness of the seed just being AGA 1 required on top of everything else.
First power bombs, I think, were in a bad spot. I can't remember. I just remember having to go through a lot of SM without power bombs, or without any type of bombs. You had to go to Rinstar Reserve to get the hammer, and then so that basically meant like you're pretty far from a portal at that point. So that basically means you're going through Brinstar twice if you want to full clear it, which wasn't necessary at all. Like actually, none of the extra loops that I did, I think. With having power bombs the second trip, I don't think any of those were required except for maybe I forget where Bombos was. I want to say that was Criteria Supers.
Yeah, I want to say there was like one early power bomb pack accessible. Yeah, unfortunately we missed.
So the first power bombs were on race game, and the second one I think was on library, which you would have needed to do desert for.
Oh, race. Okay, race game. I wasn't paying attention, so when I saw the power bombs in there, I just save and quit and didn't pick them up because I wasn't thinking about how I didn't have any yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like after that spoiler race, like I will never like turn down power bombs like ever. The spoiler race that happened a couple weeks ago with like really out of the way first power bombs. But yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to see much of your first Brinstar loop because your stream was having some technical difficulties for like a good chunk of time.
Yeah, I don't know why I was dropping so many frames. It leveled out, but I have no idea what's going on. My internet at the place I live now is a commonly very bad, so that's kind of weird. Okay, so Criteria Supers had Bombos. That's tough to route in, so that means that I probably didn't use. I was feeling okay because of that. I didn't lose that much time having done all the extra loops and stuff because that Bombos was very required. It's kind of a bad spot.
Yeah, you're coming in a bit quiet on the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. In the meantime, Soulski has finished in second place off stream with a SRL time of 3 hours 23 minutes 5 seconds. As a Neorific has defeated AGA 2. So yeah, so any other thoughts on this seed?
I believe we lost Azure.
Okay, I think I was using it wrong. Hello?
Yeah, you're still coming in a little quiet, but...
That's really weird.
Okay, now you're better.
I had the wrong mic plugged in, I think.
I think Solskjaer's reaction was pretty top notch.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that it was like both you and Solsky took like over 3 hours to beat this seed, like this was, yeah, this was just linear and just pretty awful, like for pretty much all of the back half of the Link to the Past stuff.
Yeah, it's just there were very, very large sections of the game that had nothing. So, I thought it was feasible that if someone had decided to rush the run back to Fire, that's
Yeah, you're cutting out again. Unfortunately, I think we've lost Asder. I can see him trying to say stuff.
In the meantime, Neorific has finished off Ganon.
So Neorific now resetting into Super Metroid, gonna finish that off.
So Arachnus did
Arachnus,
check a bit more of the basement of Ganon's tower. He did manage to find Quake, but I don't think he found Wave Beam yet. But I don't think I saw him do Armos.
yeah. Yeah, so Wave Beam has to then be somewhere in the basement of Ganon's tower where none of our runners up to this point have checked. Kachiri is about to find his cane, and we'll see his reaction. I don't know if we've seen a rage reaction from him in Super Metroid. Well, I guess we did see the Morph Ball reaction.
I imagine
That was a hook shot, not the cane.
Oh no, he's just casually walked away from it.
And Arachnus in the Aga 2 fight. Unfortunately, I don't think he got any of those to connect. That looks like a really nice pattern. Yeah, so Aga 2 is down for Arachnus. So now on to Ganon for Arachnus.
Yeah, so we've got the sneaky suspicion that it's behind Ice Armos inside GT. I think
Yeah.
Ice Armos is the only things we've not actually seen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So as for the other question, I guess like if you can answer, Chaz, like what your thoughts were on the vanilla morph. And yeah, single G's in chat for Arachnus having finished off Ganon. Yeah, as you're saying in chat, that his thoughts were that great Solsky got this at the start of the game. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but yeah. I mean, yeah, because it's interesting to think, because like I'm also one of those runners who tends to go for the play down to Retrobrand at the very start, and and to think of like what my routing would have been like picking up Morph immediately. Because I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do with it, but just like the fact that you have that knowledge that a lot of other runners won't have. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's also kind of a good point. Like, the fact that that opened up so much more would have maybe meant that thrown people off the trail of the progression. And that's unfortunately kind of what happened to Kachiri, because he was in the big key room in Eastern Palace. He got the damage boost to like make the chest appear, and then he immediately died, and he didn't go back for it until an hour later, which kind of threw him off the progression chain. And I guess Arachnus never found Ice Beam, so now so he has to power bomb the Metroids, so which is a lot slower. But he does have the power bombs for it. So yeah, one more Metroid room for Arachnus to complete slowly. Just needs 3 power bombs, which double hit the Metroids, to deal 400 damage each, which manages to defeat the Metroids.
Meanwhile, Neurific finishing off the final phase of Mother Brain with the stand-up glitch.
Yep. Yeah, definitely a really nicely executed stand-up glitch there. It's really difficult to like make sure that you're getting all the hits you possibly can on Mother Brain while you're also trying to make sure to manipulate the baby Metroid so that all of the onion rings hit the baby Metroid, so you're not delaying the cutscene. Because it's very easy to have a stand-up glitch that looks really good because Mother Brain comes out of it really red, but you've made most of the onion rings miss, which makes the cutscene longer, and you're actually like slower than it would have been to not do the stand-up glitch. So, or maybe it's not quite that slow, but you're still like, it's still not optimal if you make any of the onion rings miss.
You also run the risk of soft locking doing the stand-up glitch, because if none of the onion rings hit, then you're stuck in that cycle, because the baby Metroid just won't move.
Yeah, but that basically happens if you miss position or you jump too high or something like that. Arachnus not having Ice Beam is not going to bother with a Zeb skip. Yep. I don't know too much about Arachnus's skill level, but I'm guessing just not comfortable doing that stutter 3. And I mean, yeah, to be honest, I can't even do that stutter 3 either. So so I would also be just missiling through the Zebs in that situation. Although I would probably rather use supers on the Zebs just because it's a little bit faster. So Nidoריfic is in Parlor, almost done with their escape. And Nidoריfic has done with an official SRL time of 3 hours, 35 minutes, 47 seconds. GG to Nidoריfic. And we will see if we can get Nidoריfic in for an interview, as Arachnus is on the second phase of Mother Brain and does indeed have Wave Beam.
So it must have been on either the Fire Snake room or the Rando room.
Yeah, it's got to be Rando Room because we saw Fire Snake Room from Asder. Because that was, I think, that was an interesting check too. Because yeah, and I believe we have Nidoריfic here. GG Nidoריfic.
GG, thanks.
So, thoughts on the seed?
You know, I think I went through all 5 stages of grief. At first, I was thinking, no, it can't be that bad. Then I was angry. Then I started bargaining with myself. Come on, please, progression, be the next item I check. Then I was depressed. Then I accepted I had to undo the seed to find what I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just like even looking at Asder's like completed items is like 231, which is like ridiculously high for one of these seeds. Yeah, this was not a kind seed at all.
At first, I felt clever because I scouted the Moon Pearl on the desert ledge, and I checked Lumberjack Ledge. I saw the Ice Rod, but then I last located the boots on Landmollas, pendant Landmollas too.
Oh yeah, because you had delayed you delayed actually killing Landmollas.
I didn't really have a reason to. It was pendant, and I had a bunch of other stuff to check. But that's where progression was.
Yeah, because I think it's like, like any other seed, your decision probably would have been right, but the fact that like this seed just wanted to put progression in basically the trolliest places possible. As Arachnus starts his escape.
I was kind of amused by the location of the flute. It was on Laser Bridge.
Yeah. So basically, like, you were forced to access Mire from the lower Norfair portal.
Yep, because Bo was on Mire, was on Vitreous, and Fire Rod was on Armus Knights. Yeah, so you had no choice but to, and you probably had to double dip it too.
Yeah, I think double dipping Mire was probably a natural play for a lot of runners, just because like by the time you got into Mire, you probably want to at least dip it, and then of course you didn't find Kane there, so then you had to go through Lower Norfair, find Hookshot, and then have your Hookshot lead you to Kane and then had to go back to Mire to complete it.
Was not a nice seed.
And Kachiri now having to go and get his bombos. Yeah, this is not a very nice location for it, especially because ice was not available until so late into the seed. But Kachiri finally getting that spark. That's not a really nice spark to have to do, so I don't blame Kachiri for putting that off for so long.
I have to say that Mega Man's morph ball animation is adorable.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's definitely. This is definitely a really well done sprite. Yep, and meanwhile, Arachnus has finished in 5th place with an official SRL time of 3 hours 39 minutes 59 seconds. Meanwhile, Pryor finished in 4th place with a time of 3:38:47. So,
Anyone found Wave?
yeah, Arachnus did find Wave Beam. I think Randorum is the only place. I didn't see him pick it up, but Randorum I think is the only place it could have been.
Yeah, Random Room's the only place he checked additionally compared to everyone else, and he's got Wave Beam, so I can only assume it was in there.
And we're joined, I believe, by Arachnus. GG Arachnus.
GG.
So, thoughts on that seed? I think you summed it up in your SRL comment.
Yeah, I got a bone to pick for whoever rolled this thing. I actually couldn't find my go mode item until like practically the end of the game.
Yeah, and for reference to people on the stream, his SRL comment was the goal 100% completion?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. She just couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I felt like everything was just as late and as like trolly as possible as far as your Link to the Past progression.
I will say that morph ball in vanilla location really screwed with me. Because I did not switch over to Super Metroid until absolutely every possible item was checked in Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's if you don't like do the like I'd almost call it a meme play to check it or to check that Retrobrin early, like it's probably gonna be like a last location check, just because otherwise it's not really natural to go down there.
Yeah, I know Slowski loves to check that first. I may just have to adopt that strategy now, just for reasons like this.
Yeah, it's just like it's such a waste of time if nothing winds up being there. But like on the off chance that there is something really good there, then like it can pay off. Kachiri having a lot of difficulty with the Ice Palace bomb jump. It looked a couple times like he should have had it, but I guess he was 1 pixel off. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, mind of me. I was prepared for a hard seed. I was not prepared for a troll seed, though.
Yeah, it just yeah.
Where was
I don't
Floki?
know, just
Did anyone get flute?
Yeah, I did. It was on Laser Bridge.
Oh god. Because I had to go back through Super Metroid to get to Swamp
We all had.
or Misery Mire, and yeah, that's yeah. I guess everyone had to do that. I remember doing all those checks and hoping that I'd have a payoff in Zelda when I got Mirror, and then did Green Pendant, and all for nothing, just because Morphball was in Super Metroid location.
Yeah, so, yeah, any other thoughts on this seed from either of you?
I think this means we'll have a jet seed tomorrow.
I'm praying for one at this point. I'm surprised I got under 4 hours and almost 100% completion seed, so that's something.
Oh, my tracker is there. I hundoed Super Metroid. I left Graveyard Ledge, Pyramid, one item in Thief's Town, and that's it. Everything else was in Gambit's Tower.
I think, yeah, the Pyramid was about the only one I didn't check. I hundoed.
Oh, and Mimic Cave.
Yeah, didn't check MK either.
Yeah, because I guess the one thing is, you know, it's a trolley seed when 3 out of 4 runners on the restream do a blind ped pull.
I wasn't sure if other people would do it, but didn't have any other options, so I figured I might as well clear the pendant dungeons, see if something's there, but sure enough.
I checked ped very early.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like the pendant dungeons were just like laid out such that it was just like, well, desert was required, and the other 2 were dungeons you just tend to quick dungeons that you tend to do anyways. So it kind of led itself to ped check. Just like it wound up being nothing.
I didn't like going through most of the beginning of the game with bombs to kill things. That's something I'm not used to.
Yeah, that was yeah, I kind of forgot that was a thing early, but yeah.
Alright, well, I'm gonna get something to eat, and I'll probably watch the rest of this race and see how last runner goes. Kuchiri. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yes, sounds good. So, yeah, and Neaterific, any last thoughts?
Very exhausting rather. We didn't have much mobility. I guess you could have had boost very early. That's true. And mirror, but no flute. Kind of a pain.
Yeah, the no flute was really cumbersome for the Zelda side.
I just walked so much. I got boost so late.
You doing the hard seed tomorrow?
Probably, yeah.
Alright, I will race you then as well.
Alright, see you tomorrow then.
See ya. And thanks for commentating and trackers.
Yep. So yeah, with that, so yeah, we have a 4-hour time slot for this race, and Kachiri is clearly not going to finish within the 4 hours. So with the interviews with the runners that have finished out of the way, I think we're going to be cutting the restream here. Maybe we'll just let it go until Kachiri kills off Cold Stare. And yeah, so yeah, GG to the runners. Yeah, Kachiri kind of just had really unfortunate luck with taking that death in Eastern. But yeah, I mean, yeah, feel free to head over to Kachiri's stream and cheer him on for the rest of this. And yeah, thanks to Miss Metroid for tracking, and thanks to my co-commentator, Doris.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a very interesting seat.
Yeah, interesting to put it lightly, and probably like one of the trolliest I've seen.
Yeah, I can't think of a personal experience that has been any worse than this. So this is definitely a new high for me.
So yeah, make sure to give all the runners a follow, and yeah, with that, yeah, thanks everyone for watching. May your Varia suit not be on Shack Tool, and see you next mission.
Yeah, thanks everybody.